Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Minimalist Podcast, where we discuss what it means to live a meaningful life with less. My name is Joshua Fields Milburn.
And I'm Ryan Nicodemus. And together, we're the Minimalists.
Ryan is back again.
Yeah.
But we also have Malabama here in the studio.
Hi, everybody.
TK Coleman is here.
What it is.
We got the rest of our team as well. Coming up today on this free public minimal episode, we're talking to a listener about decluttering Facebook friends. We also have an outstanding lightning round, listener tip, and added value segment for you. You can check out the full 2-hour maximal edition of episode 359, where we answer 4 times the questions and we dive into 7 simple living segments. That private podcast episode is out right now at patreon.com/theminimalists. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free. Because, say it with me, y'all. Advertisements suck. Oh, Alabama, where are we starting today?
Let's start with our first question from Lynn in Sweden.
Hi, my name is Lynn and I live in Sweden. I'm a Patreon subscriber. I am longing to declutter my Facebook friend list. I have previously done it on Instagram and I found it much easier as I had a shorter friend list there. Another factor is that there are Facebook friends that I want to keep in case I need to network with them again in the future. But in the same time, I really want to have a shorter friends list on Facebook. Do you have any tips or suggestions?
I'm going to start with saying this, that a just-in-case friend isn't a friend at all. Love people use things, right? Not, hey, maybe I need to use these people at some point in the future. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't be useful to one another. Everyone in this room, we're useful for each other, and that's okay. The problem is when we develop these relationships where it's, you know what? I better have that relationship just in case I need to use that person. Now, I think there are a few ways that we can approach a question like this. You can do something like what I did versus something like what Ryan did, and I'm sure TK has some insights as well. So the first thing I did when I first left the corporate world, and I had over 1,000 Facebook friends because you just let them accumulate, not knowing what's going on, and then all of a sudden, you turn around and you're like, who is that person? Wait, I'm friends with this person I've never even met. It's a friend of a friend of a friend of a Facebook friend. And now here I am with all of these so-called friends, and I know them loosely, or maybe I don't even know them at all. Or maybe there are some people from my past where I don't need to keep holding on to that relationship. I can let it go. And so here's what I did. I just unfriended everyone. And then I re-added the friends. I also unfollowed everyone on other platforms like Twitter. And eventually I've done this again on Instagram. We didn't have Instagram at the time. This is back in 2011. As I unfriended everyone and unfollowed them, and then I intentionally said, who am I missing out on? Who are the people who I actually want to check in with their life regularly? And I re-friended them. And occasionally someone would ask me, hey, why did you unfriend me? Oh, you know what? I just unfriended everyone. And that way you have an easy out too. I'd love to add you back though, because I want to keep back up with your life. Now, Ryan, you did something a little bit more extreme.
Yeah, man. Do you know how someone got rid of Facebook?
Don't worry, they'll tell you.
Yeah, man. I got rid of it because it was stressing me out too. I mean, I really feel Lynn's pain here. And I would, dare to say that like I had way more pain. Like on a good day, Facebook would pacify me. On its worst day, it would ruin my day. Never in my life did I ever go to bed thinking, Facebook added so much value today. Thank you, Facebook. So I got rid of it. And I'll tell you, it does make things a little bit more inconvenient because there's a lot of haps going on Facebook. I mean, so there's like maybe 5% of it that there is some information on there that can help. There are some groups you can be part of. I know there's like a couple, like the Burning Man thing, like there's a whole, group for our camp. And I'm missing out on all of that. And there's some pertinent information on there. But here's what I know is like if there's really important information on there, they're going to make sure I get it.
Yeah, and I think that's important to notice. It's the fear of missing out versus the joy of missing out. Now, I will say the main reason I kept Facebook was actually so I could be part of a few small groups that required Facebook membership. And so I think there's a middle road here where you can get rid of your Facebook altogether, have a new account where you only follow 2 or 3 groups that you really want to follow.
I totally have like a
A burner account.
Yeah, I have a burner account that and it's funny because it's really for minimalist.org stuff.
Yeah, so minimalist.org is our free local meetup groups. We have 100 meetup groups in 100 different cities, 8 different countries, also an online city. You can find those at minimalist.org. So you can connect with local open-minded, or as TK would say, active-minded people. And so part of it, that's one of the groups that I'm a part of, is minimalist.org. It's the main reason I have a Facebook account. And there are 2 or 3 other groups that Facebook is nice for. But other than that, I just generally don't keep up with it.
Yeah. I mean, and I have that account because, Emma might call me up and be like, hey, can you take a look at this post and let me know what you think? And then, I have a way to like kind of get on there and lurk a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I probably use it once every couple months. Like I don't use it much at all. I will tell you though, my life, when I got rid of Facebook, it was like this huge weight that I took off myself. We talk a lot about like, we pick up these boulders. We're like walking up this hill and we're picking up all these boulders. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, why am I so tired and stressed out? What's going on? And then you realize like, oh, like I picked this up. I can also put this down. And when I put that down, my life was at least 5% better.
And why is that? Why do you feel like it was causing so much stress for you?
Because I think that, well, first off, Facebook is a very fake world. Facebook is full of hyperbole, exaggerations. I don't know how else to say it, but like
bipartisan politics.
Yeah, and so I see family members that, like, I saw a family member basically post some meme about, and this is really what like kind of triggered my thought of like, oh, I got to get off here. This family member posted something about like, if you voted for this person, you shouldn't be able to breed. Like, this was the meme. And I'm like, she would never say that to anyone's face. She would never say that to my face. She would never say it to your face. Like, she's a very nice woman. But on Facebook, all of a sudden you've got a little bit less of I don't know what it is, like, because you're not looking at someone face to face. So you have a little bit of less trepidation to say something that's going to be offensive. In fact, I think Facebook encourages you to like yell and be loud and to voice your opinion in a way that you normally wouldn't do it face to face. And to me, that's toxic. And I really started to I just really started to kind of look at, because some friends I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe like they actually feel this way. Like I don't even want to hang out with them anymore.
Yeah.
Like it was damaging relationships, when if I wasn't on Facebook, relationship wouldn't be damaged at all.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And Ricky Gervais says going on to Twitter or Facebook is like reading a bunch of comments in a bunch of different bathroom stalls.
Yes.
And then pretending that's real life.
That's so good.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, I think we underestimate just how much we lose from like real world human interaction when we go online. When we go online, we only talk about the things that are fitting for being online, which are controversies and debates and things along those lines. So that's really interesting.
It's just like it's so emotional. Like Facebook is by far the most emotional social media app out there. Like, I mean, because Instagram, I don't pick that up. I mean, sometimes I get it a little bit, in my feed. Sometimes I get it a little bit in my feed on Twitter. But like Facebook is like, everyone's either like extremely happy, #blessed. They're extremely sad. I'm sad today. Don't ask why. Or they're extremely angry. Like it's all the emotions, and it's all the extreme emotions. And it's all, Facebook to me is like the most, and I know Instagram is still Facebook technically. I call it Facebook Lite. But yeah, it's like Facebook to me is like the place where people are just. I've never seen so many people vying for so much attention in my life, and it's sad to like see people like, for some reason they feel like they need that. Look at me, look at my problems, or look at my joy. I'm happier than you.
When you said #blessed, you made me think about the comedian Gary Owen, who says we really just need to stop abusing that word blessed. He asked one of his friends, he's like, hey man, how you doing? And his buddy goes, I'm blessed, just getting up on these hoes. Bro, we should just put blessed to rest.
Yeah.
So we got to stop abusing that. But I want to bring it home for Lynn.
That's good.
With respect to this question, it sounds like you know what your gut is telling you to do. And it's not a question of what should I do, but how should I deal with the fear that accompanies it? And I'm afraid of missing out when it comes to the possibilities for networking. And here's what I'll say. If you can't do business with someone without pretending to be their friend, then that's a sign that you probably shouldn't be doing business with them in the first place. When it's time for networking, people don't mind you being direct and talking about business. What makes it offensive is not when you aren't friends with someone, but when you ambush them by pretending to be friends. What's offensive is when you call someone up and you say, hey man, how are the kids? How's the wife? How things been going? Yeah, Okay, so look, I was hoping you could sponsor my event. And the other person is thinking, oh, so this is the real reason why you called. And it makes the game of friendship feel pretentious. But if you just call someone or email someone and say, hey, haven't talked in a while, but I remember we connected at the conference last year and you said something about XYZ. I think you'd be great for our event and I'd be interested in knowing if it's something you'd like to have a phone call about for 10 minutes. People are okay with doing business when you're direct. It's what they're not okay with is when you pretend to be friends when you're actually not. It reminds me of this Key and Peele skit, by the way, where these two black guys go to a bar and there's a white person that sits next to them and says, slavery was bullshit, man. It was bullshit. And the two of them look at each other and they're like, yeah, it was. And then another white person comes and sits next to them and they're like, I just want to let you guys know, just on behalf of a lot of people out there, I'm just really sorry. I'm really sorry, how hard you guys have it. And they're like, oh, okay, thanks. And then finally there's this white guy that comes to the bar and he sits a little further away from them and he's like, sorry, I'm not comfortable around black people. And they look at each other and they go, thank you. So even though this guy was being a little bit insensitive or a lot of bit insensitive, they found his authenticity so refreshing that they just wanted to sit there and have a beer with that guy. That's a stretch. That's an extreme illustration. But when it comes to networking, you don't need to be friends with everyone that you need to do business with. You just need to be authentic. So don't be afraid to unfriend those just in case friends. When you need people to do deals with, if they're worth doing deals with, you can reach out to them directly, transparently, non-pretentiously, and they'll look forward to connecting with you.
Yeah. Lynn, I'd love to send you a copy of our book, The Minimalist Rule Book. It's 16 Rules for Living with Less, because you talked about just-in-case friends. We have something in there called the just-in-case rule and 15 other rules that we simplify our lives with. If you want it, you can download it for free, theminimalists.com/rulebook, or if you want the audiobook version, we'll be happy to send that to you as well. Ryan, what time is it?
You know what time it is. It's time for the lightning round where we answer your text messages. You can text your questions, your comments, your compliments on Josh's hair.
Ooh.
You can
Man, I've missed that so much, by the way. I've missed that so much. It's so good to have you back. So good to have you back.
That phone number, by the way, is 937-202-4654.
And that goes to both of our phones. And pretty soon, TK, we got to get you set up on that. Remind me that later today, because you can just respond to people whenever you want. And we actually respond to some folks here on the podcast. So you can text us whatever you'd like during the lightning round. This is where Ryan, TK, and I do our best to answer questions with a short, shareable, less than 140 character response. Professor Sean puts 1 minute on the clock for us. We give you our minimal maxims. By the way, they're also in the show notes, so you can copy and share our pithy answers on social media if you like. And now you can find all of our minimal maxims in one place, thanks to our good friend Social Jess. That's minimalmaxims.com. Alabama Grace has a question for us.
What are the best strategies or ways to encourage our partners to embrace minimalism and simplicity?
TK Coleman has 60 seconds on the clock.
Wow. The best testimony is a well-lived life. If you want to make a compelling case for something that you believe and its capacity to positively impact others, the best way for you to do that is to show people what it looks like to live out the value of those ideas. Create curiosity about what you believe by the way you behave. If you're doing it right, people should be coming to you saying, hey, what have you been reading? What have you been eating? That's what I do to Ryan. He comes in here, body don't lie. I look at that body and I say, hey man, where have you been working out? He doesn't have to preach it to me. He practices it so well, it creates curiosity that makes me come to him. That's what happens when you live a good testimony.
Oh, keep going. Give him another 30 seconds.
Let me tell you more about Ryan's beautiful body. With the 5 seconds I have left, his body's so amazing.
All right, let's throw 60 seconds on the clock for Ryan Nicodemus.
This is the nicest way I've ever heard anyone ask, how do I make my partner a minimalist? And here's my pithy answer is this: support bound by expectations isn't supportive. So, another way to say this too is, hey, if you are respecting your partner's preferences, whatever they may be, minimalist or no minimalist, like that is going to be the best invitation for them to respect your preferences. But if you're gonna support them, if you're asking us like, oh, what can I do to support them to be a minimalist? Well, now we're saying, well, if you do these 3 things, your partner's going to start to see the light and they're going to start to come around that corner. Yeah. And that's not, it's not accurate because we have no advice to do that. And the other thing too is like, well, now when that expectation isn't met, well, now you're going to be doubly disappointed. Yeah.
How can I manipulate my partner in a way? Right. I'm using Ryan's last 9 seconds.
Yeah, do it.
But that's what in a way, that's what we ask. What are the strategies to manipulate my partner to make them better? Throw a minute on the clock for me. I got something pithy for you here. The why to is infinitely more powerful than the how to. Quite often we want these strategies. What are the 6 things I can do to manipulate my partner? And obviously, Grace, I don't think you're trying to manipulate your partner. You want them to live a healthier life, a better life. You want less suffering in their life. And that's why I get so passionate about things like minimalism, or when we talk about diet, we talk about letting go, we talk about love. I get passionate about these things because I've suffered so much in my own life. And how have I suffered? Because I've been chasing all of these how-tos. And they never got me anywhere. I chased all of these solutions that ended up being a bigger part of the problem. But if I truly understand the why to, what are the benefits of simplifying? And how can your partner change if they truly understand what the benefits are? Not the benefits for you, Grace. What are the benefits for your partner? And if they understand the benefits, then they will understand how to let go.
What does Bex's shirt say? Coercion is not consent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep that in mind when you're working with your partner too.
By the way, I got your new hip hop song right here. It's Reset the Clock. I got something pithy for you. Reset the clock. I got something pithy for you. The way you said it, it was just so rhythmic, man.
And you should say pithy from now on. Like, just keep it pithy. Keep it pithy, man.
That could be another rap song.
I'm just, anyway. Yeah.
Podcast Sean sent him the whole like Greek etymology of the word pithy. And anyway, Alabama, we got so much more to talk about. But first, what do you got for us?
Here's a minimalist insight from one of our listeners.
Hello, my name is Maggie, and I'm from Northport, Michigan. I wanted to leave a comment addressing gifts. I recently saw a local news story about a little girl who loved dogs, so she asked for birthday gifts such as dog food and toys that would then be donated to their local animal shelter. So then I thought for Mother's Day, you could ask for items that then could be donated to the local women's shelter. Also around Christmas, there's usually toy drives and winter coat and boot drives. And a last idea for children is their classroom at school being adopted to supply with some basic items that their class could need.
All right, y'all. Before we get to our added value segment, real quick, for right here, right now, here's one thing that's going on in the life of the minimalists. Actually, 2 quick things. Our friends over at Spire Media, we've been working on this for a while and they finally got it done. We did a new design for my personal website, and I don't know why I even have a website, except thousands of people visit it every month, joshuafieldsmilburn.com. It basically just redirects you to everything at the Minimalists. But if you want to go check that out, you can. But I'm much more excited about howtowritebetter.org. Professor Sean and I have been working on this for a while. You can see the new series that I've been working on. It's a 10-video series called Bad Writing, where we take popular books and point out that some of the best, most prolific authors still have bad writing in some of their books. And it's okay. It's not a judgment. It's not to say they're bad writers. We're all subjects to bad writing at some point in time. And so you can find that over there at howtowritebetter.org. You can find the video series there. You can find the free ebook to download as well, 15 Ways to Write Better. For added value this week, Ryan, this album, you're really going to enjoy it. You know how I know sometimes, rarely do I say Ryan's going to like this music, but it's nostalgic, even though it's new. The band is called The Midnight. And the album, which just came out, is called Heroes. And the song you're hearing in the background right now, it is called Change Your Heart or Die. Woo. And I feel like Axl Rose should be singing it. It is so nostalgic. It feels so 1980s. And Bex and I were driving around last weekend and she couldn't stop singing. We get out of the car and Ella was there too. And she was, change your heart or die. They could not stop singing this song. It is the definition of an earworm. So I think you'll enjoy that. If you're listening to the public version of the podcast, you'll hear it in the background. If you're watching the public version on YouTube, then you'll see the YouTube link somewhere above my left shoulder. Or if you're watching the Maximal episode on Patreon, then you get to hear the whole thing, see the whole thing. By the way, TK, we got a bunch more surprise questions on the private podcast this week. Like, is it possible to be a minimalist and a prepper at the same time? How do you let go of memories that bring you misery and pain? What does a minimalist budget look like for Joshua and Ryan? Plus a million more questions for the minimalists. And if they want to hear all that in Alabama, tell them what to do.
Check out the Minimalist private podcast. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description to subscribe and get your personal link so that our weekly Maximal episodes play in your favorite podcast app. You'll also gain immediate access to all of our archives, recordings of live events, weekly home tours, and our private community of thousands of open-minded minimizers like you. In fact, here's a thoughtful testimonial from one of our lovely private podcast supporters. Lori says, one of the many aspects I enjoy about your private podcast is your emphasis on portraying yourselves with honesty. You show us who you are, not who you wish you were. That keeps you relatable to all the rest of us imperfect humans. We are who we are, and it turns out we are in good company.
Ryan, you're so relatable.
Dude, you know, it's funny. One of the principles from Burning Man is radical acceptance. And
on the private podcast, we just talked about Ryan's whole Burning Man experience for a long time.
We spent a few minutes on it, but it's interesting because, man, I mean, that's something that radical self-acceptance, and like that is something that it took me a long time to get there. But man, once you have that, like it's so freeing because you can be yourself, and I'm so glad we get to do that. So thanks, patrons, for letting us be ourselves.
Thanks for your comment, Lori. If you have a question or comment for our podcast, give us a call, 406-219-7839, or email a voice memo to podcast@theminimalist.com. You can follow The Minimalists on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter @The Minimalists. To get our podcast show notes in your inbox, sign up for our email list at theminimalists.com.
That's our show for today, y'all. On behalf of Ryan Nicodemus, TK Coleman, Malabama, Podcast Sean, Jordan O'More, Professor Sean, Social Jess, Danny Unknown, Post-Production Peter, Emma the Immigrant, and the rest of our team, I'm Joshua Fields Milburn. If you leave here today with just one message, let it be this: love people and use things, because the opposite never works. Thanks for listening, y'all.
We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Every little thing you think that you need, every little thing you think that you need, every little thing that's just feeding your greed. Oh, I bet that you'd be fine without it.